Welcome to The Debate. Our focus today is on one of the most fundamental strategic decisions facing businesses in trade show marketing: how to pick the right exhibition stand design. The source material is quite explicit here, identifying 7 essential types and noting that upgrading from just a generic booth leads to, and I'm quoting here, a marked increase in engagement. That's a finding reported by over 80% of American companies.
And that 80% finding is crucial, yeah. But it immediately brings up the question of how you should execute that upgrade. Is success really about maximizing the spectacle, or is it about optimizing the long-term marketing spend?
Exactly. And that brings us to our core question for today. In this really competitive environment, is the most crucial strategic investment centered on maximizing a unique, high-impact brand presence with custom exhibition stands, or is it actually wiser to prioritize long-term adaptability, cost-effectiveness, and sustainability through modular exhibition stands?
I'll be arguing that while that initial impact is tempting, strategic long-term success really demands the kind of prudence and systemization you get with modular systems. They just represent a more responsible application of capital over a multi-year exhibition cycle.
And I'm going to maintain that maximizing that initial visitor interaction and creating an immersive, singular brand narrative through pure customization is in fact the superior strategy for getting those essential high-quality engagement rates the material points to. So let's start with the central premise of a trade show: visibility and differentiation. The goal is not just to be there, it is to create a truly memorable brand impression and attract immediate, high-quality attention from, let's be honest, very selective attendees. Custom stands are explicitly defined in the research as the strategic cornerstone for moving a brand from, ordinary to extraordinary. We're talking about tailored designs that lead to significantly higher engagement rates, up to a 45% increase in visitor interaction. This immediate, sensory, three-dimensional commitment, I think it outweighs a lot of the logistical concerns because it guarantees a design that strategically blends visual aesthetics with functional elements, perfectly reflecting the organization's core values. That level of dedicated brand congruence is, it's just beyond the scope of pre-engineered interchangeable parts.
I come at it from a fundamentally different perspective on strategic asset management. While that peak impact is undeniably attractive, strategic success has to account for multi-event usage, financial prudence, and scalability across the whole marketing calendar. Modular stands aren't just cheaper, they offer a revolutionary approach by balancing a compelling visual environment with adaptability and, over time, a dramatic cost reduction. Because modular systems are built on these interchangeable components, they allow for radical reconfiguration without significant repetitive reinvestment. We're talking about strategic economic benefits, potentially reducing overall exhibition expenses by up to 40% compared to repeatedly building custom. The true power here is the ability to efficiently resize and restructure to maximize visibility and engagement across all these diverse exhibition environments, which is something a fixed custom design that might only fit one venue just can't do.
We have to unpack that engagement metric, though, because a potential 45% increase in qualified interaction can't be easily rationalized away by, future cost savings. A custom stand gets that lift because it controls the entire attendee experience. It's not just signage, it's using proprietary material textures, unique lighting arrays, and architectural features like integrated curves or unique tensile fabrics to guide traffic and create a specific emotional response. If the goal is to capture attention within seconds in a sensory overloaded convention center, that level of unique architectural command is really the only reliable way to do it. If you save 40% on the build, but lose half your potential qualified leads because your exhibit just lacked gravitas, haven't you failed the primary business objective?
Well, that line of reasoning, while it's focused on lead quantity, it often ignores the crucial role of resource allocation in strategic success. We're looking at a 40% reduction in long-term capital exposure, which translates directly into funds that can be allocated to much higher leverage engagement drivers. I'm talking about enhanced staffing, creating better interactive digital content, providing superior hospitality, or funding robust, personalized follow-up campaigns. These elements often drive the quality and conversion of leads far more effectively than the initial visual wow factor. An optimized modular structure allows the business to staff the stand with 2 extra experts rather than spending that same money on bespoke construction labor.
But that modular approach imposes limits on functional architecture that can severely compromise high-value interactions. For instance, the custom approach allows for specialized, high-impact solutions like the double-decker stands cited in the material. These maximize floor space and provide essential segregated functions, private meeting areas for sensitive negotiations, dedicated presentation zones, VIP lounges, things that simple modular components just cannot effectively replicate. That multi-level structure achieves enhanced visual prominence and immediately signals a higher level of investment and commitment. You simply cannot execute complex, multifunctional spatial requirements with a toolkit designed primarily for, quick assembly.
Okay, but I have to challenge the practicality of that. Your focus on these complex, high-impact structures like double-deckers, it kind of glosses over the intense logistical and regulatory friction. These systems require rigorous compliance with local venue fire codes, height restrictions, structural integrity checks. It all adds layers of planning complexity, cost, and time delays. Modular systems, on the other hand, are specifically designed to operate within standardized venue guidelines globally. They provide enhanced sustainability through reusable components and drastically minimal transportation costs. It's about reliable execution versus a risky, occasional spectacle. For most businesses, especially those exhibiting globally, maximizing event participation and minimizing logistical drag, that is the truer strategic priority. And this brings us squarely to the issue of versatility versus a fixed narrative. Modular stands provide what the source calls an unprecedented level of versatility. They're defined as scalable design configurations suitable for a compact 10x10 regional conference or a massive 50x50 international trade show floor. For businesses that participate frequently, this adaptability is absolutely critical. They can use advanced CAD and BIM systems to reconfigure the stand layout weeks before an event to perfectly match the local audience flow and available footprint, ensuring visual consistency without the burden of a complete rebuild. The material even highlights the extreme case. Highly portable stands, a lightweight variant, we're talking 20 to 50 pounds, that drastically reduces setup time to just 15 to 20 minutes. That operational simplicity supports an agile, multi-event strategy that customization just cannot rival.
I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning, because relying on interchangeable components fundamentally limits the ability to tell a truly unique brand story. You use CAD and BIM to reconfigure the same boxes. The custom approach allows a business to transform the exhibit space into a compelling narrative space, meaning you are utilizing innovative spatial geometry and strategic, unique lighting to lead the visitor through a specific story about the product roadmap or the corporate mission. Modularity, by its very nature, risks aesthetic compromise for the sake of logistical ease. If the structure is designed to be everything to everyone, it risks being nothing special to anyone.
But let's look at the baseline. Even standardized solutions like the very basic shell scheme stands, they still require strategic design and creative branding approaches just to transform that framework into something distinctive. So if every stand type, modular or shell, still requires significant investment in graphics, content, and furniture to create a presence, then why not choose the structural system that guarantees the lowest refurbishment cost and the fastest deployment across multiple events? You're essentially arguing that to tell a unique story, we have to incur massive financial inefficiency and logistical vulnerability?
The distinction, though, lies in the quality of the canvas. If a standardized framework still requires significant strategic personalization, if you have to use high-quality graphics and clever spatial arrangements just to transform that basic shell, then why not just invest in full customization from the start? When you build custom, every single element, from the flooring texture to the ceiling architecture, is optimized for your unique brand identity and message. You aren't fighting the constraints of a generic prefab system. You are starting with a blank sheet of possibility that's optimized for that 45% engagement lift. We're talking about transforming the exhibit from a sales point into an experience center.
That assumes every company's primary objective is that singular defining experience. For a growing company focusing on rapid market penetration or launching several product lines simultaneously across different continents, the logistical complexity and capital tied up in repeated custom builds is a strategic liability. They need fast, reliable market presence, not architectural theater. The material shows there's a whole hierarchy of efficiency here. You've got pop-up stands cited for ultra-fast assembly, portables for rapid transport. Modular stands synthesize those efficiencies with a professional presentation.
Which brings us to the core philosophical disagreement here: defining the strategic cornerstone. The material explicitly refers to custom stands as this cornerstone. I believe the implicit argument is that in a crowded, high-stakes market, like a major international trade show, standing out is the primary objective. And this is achieved through unique, proprietary architecture and an immersive experience. A stand that looks like it can be rebuilt anywhere else is, well, it's inherently failing to maximize that critical differentiator.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that definition of strategic cornerstone. Let me tell you why. A cornerstone should be something you build upon, right? Consistently. It should prioritize long-term viability and reliable market presence. For the majority of businesses, especially those who exhibit 5, 10, even 15 times a year, maximizing utilization and minimizing logistical drag, the fundamental benefits of modularity, is the truer strategic priority. Think of it as intellectual property management for your physical assets. When you invest in a modular stand with standardized connections and easily swappable graphic panels, you retain control, you minimize waste, and you ensure a high-quality presentation that is financially sustainable over time.
But again, that reliability doesn't translate into memorable connections if you are visually indistinct. While the logistical simplicity of a modular stand is an undeniable operational advantage, if the design aesthetic risks visual compromise, you risk blending into the noise. The point of the investment is to generate those meaningful business connections that extend far beyond the event itself. And the data confirms that high-quality, architecturally tailored environments are dramatically better at this than standardized solutions adapted to look unique. You're optimizing for cost efficiency. I am optimizing for lead generation efficiency.
But we can achieve high-quality presentation with modular design, provided the resources you've saved, that 40% reduction, are correctly funneled into high-resolution printing, interactive technology, and quality furnishings. Modularity doesn't have to mean low quality. It just necessitates smart design within a reusable framework. And that reusable framework is key for businesses that need to adjust rapidly to global markets and constantly changing venue requirements without incurring catastrophic financial write-downs on single-use assets. This isn't just cost-cutting, it's a responsible, modern approach to strategic asset management.
Ultimately, I maintain that trade show success is measured by the power of the impression you create and the ability of that unique environment to drive genuine, meaningful business connections. The significant increase in visitor interaction, up to 45%, it demonstrates conclusively that investing in the specific architecture and visual storytelling of a custom stand yields superior results. It transforms every exhibition into a memorable, high-impact opportunity that fundamentally changes market perception.
And I'll reiterate the argument that strategic trade show participation requires financial discipline and versatile execution across the full marketing cycle. Modular solutions provide that necessary cost reduction, up to 40% savings, and offer essential scalability, allowing businesses to maintain a consistently professional, high-quality display across multiple events without the logistical and financial burdens associated with repeated custom fabrication.
The material clearly demonstrates that there's no single best solution, but rather a profound choice between maximizing immediate, high-cost, unique architectural impact versus maximizing long-term financial efficiency and operational adaptability.
The ultimate decision rests entirely on the specific marketing objectives and resource allocation strategy a company prioritizes. Whether they seek the maximum yield from a single massive splash or the consistent sustainable presence that allows them to engage effectively with numerous market segments throughout the year. There is certainly much more to explore in how these stand types intersect with actual long-term sales performance.